I had a fantastic week with my budget this time around. I've got my fully funded stickers out, and if you've been following me for a while, you know what that means. I can't wait to tell you about everything that's happened and what comes next. Are you ready? Let's go. Welcome back to Ready Budget Go. My name is Drew, and on this channel we talk about cash budgeting, saving money, and achieving our financial goals. If that sounds like something you're interested in, please consider subscribing, hit the like button, and leave me a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. It's the end of the week for me, so it is time to update my budget for the week. My budget weeks run from Friday through Thursday, and I'm recording this on Thursday afternoon. I'm not going to spend any more money today, so it's a perfect time to total up the week and see where I finished. The first thing that I'm going to do is a cash dump, and this is where I take all of the money that I didn't spend, or all the cash that I didn't spend during the week, and kind of reshuffle where it's going. So the first thing I have here is my bank, or this pouch that I use sort of as a bank. And at the start of this week, I had about $100. It might have been even more than that. Things got kind of hazy this last week. So I have $5, $10, $15, $25 left. I should have 30, but I took a 5 to the bank already. And the reason I did that is because I had to deposit the 25 L bucks from the Letterbucks challenge that I filmed last weekend. And I had been given a $5 bill back as change from someplace where I spent cash, and that thing was on its last legs. And I don't have any scotch tape handy, and I really wanted it out of my hands, so I just put it back in my checking account. So out of the $100 ish, I spent 70 ish. And then I have the $1 bills and another $5 bill that I'm putting toward the Christmas challenge, which is the Letterbucks challenge. That's one of the ways that I am setting aside money for the Christmas season. So I'm going to leave this in the bank, all those $5 bills. And then for the cash that I am setting aside, I'm going to start with the coins. And I had a fair number of them this week. I can dump them all out here. Yep, that looks like all of them. So that's about, I don't know, 50, 65, about $1 worth, maybe a little less. And so I'm putting those in here in my coin bag. And when this gets full enough, I will take it to the grocery store, which has a Coinstar machine, and I will redeem these for a gift card, probably, or a gift certificate, probably to Amazon. Amazon or whichever merchant I pick will pay the counting fee at Coinstar. So that is one way to save money and time on counting your coins. So you don't have to sit there and roll them all yourself and then take them to the bank. You can just take them to the grocery store. And as long as you're getting a gift card, you don't have to pay the coin counting fee. The merchant will pay for you. Okay, so that's the coins. Set this to the side. Next up, I have the $1 bills and one $5 bill. And I can't remember why I decided to set aside a $5 bill this week, but I did. So I've got all of these ones, quite a few this week, and somewhere in here is a 5, where there was. Maybe did I take it out? I don't think I did. Oh, I guess I did. So I don't have a 5. Okay. So I just need to adjust my cash total to indicate that I spent $75. I don't count the ones that are left over. I'm just going to drop these in here along with the ones from last week. Oh, there's the 5. It was already in the pouch. So now I've got quite a stack ready to go for next week, or not next week, for the end of the month when I do the Letterbucks challenge again. Okay, so that's that. This is now empty. This will start accumulating cash again for next week. So I'm going to set these aside. And we'll bring out the budget book here. I'm going to set aside these fully funded stickers. We'll need those later. So let's look at the budget to begin with. And let me get out a pen here. Actually, I'm going to use my fancy dancy pen because it tends to write better on this paper. Okay. So, bills for this week. I should have gotten a bill for the utilities, but I didn't. I know it's in the mail. I should get that bill today, so I will pay that next week. And then I won't get my next bill until May. The bill that I'm going to get is substantially less than $150 that I had budgeted. Excuse me, because they ended up not charging me a deposit, which is great. But I don't know exactly how much that bill is, and I'll have that for next week. Taxes. I did not owe any money on taxes, and I got my tax return. So instead of $400 of spend, that was a $975 refund. So I'm going to put that in here. And I will talk a little bit about where that money is going coming up later. The BLIP fund did come out. That was $205. I have my haircut tomorrow. I need to pick up my prescriptions tomorrow. But otherwise, all of these bills are coming in later in the month. Wallet expenses, we'll talk about later. Stockpiles. I decided to change course a little bit. At the start of the month, or rather at mid-March when I did the April budget, I had decided that I was going to put money aside for a jersey that I wanted, for new furniture for my apartment, and for a weekend trip. I'm not spending any of that on this month. This was also kind of a cash reserve just because I had a lot of unknowns in my budget for this month. And it turns out not only do I not have those unknowns for the most part, but I also decided that I don't need or want any of this yet. I do still want to take that weekend trip, but I'm going to push that off until May. So for April, I have all that money to put back into my budget, and I'm still considering what I'm going to do with that. I will probably put it toward my next goal, my next savings goal, which I'll talk about a little bit later, but I'm not quite ready to pull the trigger on that yet. And I'll explain a little bit more why when I get to the savings portion. So savings and extra debt, $300 is supposed to go to my Roth IRA. This week it was $308. And then that's all that I can do on this sheet for now. So I am going to move over to the cash allocation. Nope, not the cash allocation, to the cash flow tracker. And this one I have already filled in because I had quite a few transactions this week. So instead of boring you by filling it in on camera, I did that beforehand. So as of last week, there was only the Roth IRA contribution and the cash withdrawal that I made. Then this week, because I got my paycheck 1 for April, I made a whole bunch of credit card payments. All of this spending has already been accounted for. This is just me repaying the credit cards. So I have several different cards, and the reason for that is because each of these cards gives me a different benefit. Some give me travel benefits, some give me benefits of cash back when I go to grocery stores or when I buy my transit pass or what have you. So that is why I have so many different cards. I also had a withdrawal to the BLIP fund that was noted here. Everything else is a credit card payment. For deposits, I had the Letterbucks deposit of $30. I will be moving that into the Christmas fund. And then I had paycheck 1 come in as well. So that's it for the cash flow tracker. I'm just going to break the video here so it doesn't get too long, and I'll talk about expenses next. All right, here we are with expenses, and I should have put in a sheet or a board behind this to make it easier to write on. I have only, looks like 6 transactions plus my cash spending this week. So on the 11th, I got DoorDash. Honestly, this was just me being lazy. This was food. And it was $30.94. On the 12th, Target, which was more food. Almost all of these are food expenses. Every once in a while, there's household. Usually with Target, there is 1 or 2 household things rolled into this, but I don't count it just because it's mostly groceries. Also on the 12th, I went to McDonald's. I actually went out to eat twice on the 12th. McDonald's was $8.25. And I also went to the Original Pancake House for breakfast that day. Because I was running around all over town that day. $22.13 for breakfast for 1 person. My goodness. The 14th, McDonald's. This was breakfast. I go out to breakfast a few times a week. $6.60, although this is mostly coffee. And then on the 16th, Safeway. which is groceries or food. Well, food. And $69.04. And then today, which is the 17th, I'm putting in my weekly cash spent. This doesn't get a category because it could go to anything. And I have $30 left over, so $70. So I'm just going to total these up here real quick. $30.94 plus $69.46 plus 8 1/4 plus $22.13 plus $6.60 plus $69.04 plus 70 is $276.42, which I will put onto the budget sheet. It is over budget, mainly because I went out to eat more than I was planning this week, but I knew that I had gotten that tax refund and that I wasn't going to spend the stockpile money, so I'm okay letting the budget slip a little bit in the wallet spend when things like that happen. If I know I have a way to cash flow it or to cover it, then I kind of ease off on being real strict with the wallet spend, and that usually happens. Usually there's something somewhere in the budget that isn't as bad as I planned for. So I think, okay, I can spend a little more on indulgences or on groceries or what have you from the wallet spend. So I'm going to go back to the expense tracker sheet, and I'm just going to color code these as I do every week, just to delineate where one week ends and the other begins. I'm going to use this pink color for no other reason than it was the one that I noticed kind of hanging out there in the back, and I don't think I reach for it very often. I'm not really a pink person, but okay. So there we go. So that is done. And now it's time to talk about savings. Oh, and actually, before I do that, there was one other bill that I need to put in here that was kind of an unplanned bill. So this would have been the 16th. It was yesterday. This is Orca again. I didn't plan for it, and I spent $72. And the reason I did that is because I'm now purchasing a monthly pass with Orca. I didn't do that previously because I could walk most places from where I lived before I moved. Now that I'm here, most places require transit to get to. I have to take, well, I usually do take transit to go to the grocery store, to go to the post office, places like that that I used to be able to walk to, the pharmacy, any of those. So I'm now buying a monthly pass, and I also need to supplement that with essentially what is called e-purse funds, where if I am taking a trip that is more than what my pass will cover, that comes out of the balance. So I still need to plan for that in the May budget, but I at least bought the pass now. And the reason I did that is so that I don't get to May 1st having forgotten that I need to buy a new pass and then being charged way too much for transit. So I just did that here, and so I've added to the bill section. And again, I've got the money to cover for it because this was a almost $1,400 swing between what I planned on spending and what I ended up getting back. So that's it for this section. So now I am going to move over to savings. Okay, so emergency fund, fully funded, has been for a while now. This is a savings tracker for that. Now let's talk about the BLIP fund. When I got my, how do I put it? When I got my refund from the IRS, that went into the savings account that has the BLIP fund in it. So what I ended up doing is with the money that came in through the auto transfer from my checking account, I cut that off at $2,400 and I transferred everything else into my higher yield account that is more protected for my next big goal. But this goal now is done. So I'm going to write in here on 4/14, and let's see, I need 2,400 and I had 1,605. So 795 went to the BLIP fund total. There was more than that went into the account, but the rest of it, like I say, I've already transferred out. So that put us at 2,400. So this is now fully funded. I am going to get out the marker for this. which is this one, I think. I always forget. And I'm so excited, I'm just throwing it all over the table. And I'm not going to be terribly careful here with how I'm coloring. I'm just going to start shading it in. I am not really a big coloring person, but I think when there are occasions like this where it's something that you've not just worked hard toward, because because of circumstances, it didn't save me all that long. It didn't take me all that long to save up this money. It would have at another time of year, but in this case, I had the combination of moving to a new place where I didn't have to pay rent for a month because I was on a promo, and I got the tax refund, and I had a bonus that was part of this. So a lot of things, a lot of different funding sources contributed to being able to fund this BLIP fund. So again, just to recap, if you haven't seen this before, to me, a BLIP is an unplanned expense that isn't an emergency. So in other words, this might be something where I need to take a trip somewhere for something urgent, but it's not going to be life disrupting. It's just a little bit of money that I need to bridge a gap in the budget. And then this becomes the priority for getting it back up to fully funded. So essentially, I'm borrowing against my future earnings with money that I've already earned. Instead of putting something on a credit card, I have this readily available to fill in a budget gap. And so now that it's got $2,400 in it, I am going to put the fully funded sticker on it. Okay, so that is all set. Now, for the next goal and where the rest of the money went, it went to the big move. And actually, I'm going to review I'll come back to the Roth IRA later, but I'm going to go back to the front of the book, the very front here, because that is where I have my annual goals. So my first goal was to fully fund my emergency fund at $12,210. I completed that last month on March 11th. This next goal is to fully fund the BLIP fund at $2,400, and I did that on April 14th, 2025. Okay, next goal is the Roth IRA. I'm working on that. That is the money that I am saving on Mondays and Wednesdays, Monday for game night and Wednesday for the Savings Challenge books. And the goal after that is the big move. And that is where I am planning on moving to another state. The state where I live, Washington State, is very expensive to live in, and it's getting more so. There was a bill in the legislature a few weeks ago. Well, I don't know if it was a bill, but it was being talked about in the legislature and between the governor, because they're debating the budget right now, on instituting a 5% payroll tax on Washington State taxpayers. And for something that has not been taxed before, because Washington State doesn't have income tax, going from 0% to 5% on everything you make in one swell swoop is, in my view, pretty unreasonable. Now, fortunately, that bill, it looks like, or that idea has kind of been squashed, but that isn't to say that it won't come back around. They aren't finished with the budget yet for this year. They don't have a way to fill the multi-billion-dollar gap that the state has in its budget. And I'm not convinced that this state won't move in that direction. And it's just become so difficult to afford to live here. I was born and raised in this state, but ultimately I have to do what's best for me and my life, and I'm not sure that is here anymore. So in order to move to where I want to move to, I think I need about $15,000. That is to cover the move. That is to sustain me while I set up my new life in another state. As a single person, that may take some time to reestablish myself and to figure out what life is going to look like once I go somewhere else. So that is the long and short of it, mostly the long of it. So let's talk more about savings, because I'm going to be doing both of these in parallel. I'm going to be continuing with my Roth IRA Mondays and Wednesdays with game night, $300 a pop or thereabouts, until that is fully funded. And then I am just hitting this one hard. So I don't have a tracker for that yet. I'm working on that, and I will have one ready by next week. But for now, let's talk about the Sloth IRA. So this week I put in, where's that pen? It's over here. This week I put in for, what day was that? The 15th? I think I did it on Tuesday because I'd already filmed the Wednesday video. I put in 308, which brought my total contributions for this year to $1,720. And I can stamp out 3 more of these guys if I remember where I put my stamps. I think they're over here just off to the side. And I should have had them ready, but I didn't. Nope, that's the wrong one. I found the stamp pad. There we go. There's the stamp. Okay. So Sloth IRA, $7,000. That is what you can save in 2025 if you are below the age of 50, which I am. If you are 50 or older, you can make an additional $1,000 catch-up contribution. This tracker is available in my Etsy shop, along with the savings tracker here. But I am just stamping these guys out as I accumulate or as I save $100. So I have got 17 of them done, so I'm about a third of the way. No, not quite a third, maybe a quarter of the way. So a decent start, I would say, to getting this funded, because I didn't start until after I'd fully funded my emergency fund. I'm kind of glad I did because the markets have soured. One of my coworkers at my 9-to-5 job fully funded his 401k for the year in January and has seen the value of that investment drop significantly. So I'm glad that I was more patient and got this going now, and that I'm doing it slowly so that I'm catching the best benefits of dollar cost averaging. I'm not a financial advisor. If you are saving for retirement, by all means, please do what is right and best for you. But this is just the path that I am taking this year to fully fund my Roth IRA. So that's all that I have for this budget update. On, let's see, Saturday, maybe Sunday, I will have my May budget video out. I think I'm going to try to do cash stuffing this month for May. I think things are settled down enough where I can try that and see how it goes, with essentially making a real representation of how much money I'm bringing in and then how I am allocating that among all the different priorities. So be looking for that at some point this weekend. Monday night will be game night. Wednesday is the Savings Challenge books, and then I'll be back here again at the end of next week for another budget update. I want to thank you so much for watching, particularly for watching through to the end. If you enjoyed the video, please leave me a thumbs up by hitting the like button down below. Leave a comment if you're so inclined, and subscribe if you're new. And until I see you in the next one, take care.